Hi, good evening. So today, June 01, and we're going to discuss briefly about what has exactly happened today in Nifty and Bank Nifty. We'll do a short analysis and we'll try to see what we can expect and anticipate on June 02, 2021. Welcome to my channel, Analyst Master. So without much ado, let's me just take you through the daily chart of Nifty. So this is the daily chart in front of you. And frankly speaking, at this particular point in time, this candle out here, which you see, it's almost reddish in nature. Well, to be honest, it actually does not signify anything. So we actually are pretty unclear because this seemingly is, though it's a red candle, but it's definitely not a bearish candle by any means. I can assure you of that, simply because that it has not broken through the the first half of the channel of the previous day's green candle that we had. Now that's it. The market was extremely choppy today, as you might have known. I have personally only taken a couple of trades, and so have my clients out here. So the way we have performed today is that this is where we started. So the initial candle, we let go of that candle and it made a high of 1566, and of course from there it came a sudden fall because of the huge profit booking that happened. But as I said before, that this is a market for buy on dips, not on short. So many people would have already shorted, and people who would have shorted at the top, well, they made a good decent gain of almost, let's say, close to about 100 to 120 odd points. But many people would have actually shorted here or here, and they might have gotten trapped here. Many might have dropped here. So we were waiting for the bottom to form. Once the bottom was formed here and we saw this rounding bottom kind of a thing with the piercing gap with this particular candle, as you can see that there's a piercing line that had formed, and that is where we made an entrance. So we made an entrance somewhere here. This piercing line gave us the opportunity that there is some upside potential that's existing. So once we got the certainty of that, we made our trade here, and thereafter we captured almost, let's say, I believe from here to, we close the position here. So that would be about, so about roughly about 48-50 points we captured here, and that was the only trade that we took in Nifty. And as far as Bank Nifty was concerned today, well, Bank Nifty disappointed me, and I did not expect this kind of volatility in Bank Nifty, but this was kind of an eye-opener of what we can actually expect. In case of Bank Nifty, in fact, we only took one trade, and that was the trade of shorting out here. We actually shorted in this candle, and we gained somewhere close to about 125 odd points we captured in Bank Nifty, and that is all. So these are the only two trades that we took today. Nevertheless, the market was extremely difficult, let me assure you, without any specific direction. In fact, this kind of movement actually comes, most of the chartists, most of the technical analysts will tell you that this kind of movement is typical of Wednesday, but and for some goddamn reasons, we got this move today in Tuesday. So both sides, call option writers as well as the put option writers, were tested today. Now let's get to the sectoral performance. And as I was mentioning that, in today's morning video, that Nifty Metal, many of the analysts would have said that metal is again going to rise from here. It was consolidating and stuff, but I had my bets otherwise. Nonetheless, this green candle kind of got me thinking, but I was waiting for the confirmation, and that confirmation has not yet come for me to make any long position in metal yet. Of course, nonetheless, I must admit that there is a bit of a consolidation being seen here, but it could turn it could turn the other way around as well. So, we need to await the confirmation. And as you know, the metal today was one of the laggards in the sector. Howard Media, well, media is not surprisingly, media performed well, as I was expecting, as this sector was in my radar for some time, and as I have been constantly being suggesting to my client as well. So people who would have believed in me, who would have taken the position. They made the decent gains in media. Of course, it gave a couple of buying opportunities only. And I say, as I said before, that in a rising market, don't look for shorting opportunities. It's like this. Then you need to be a very good batsman technically to play those erratic shots. Not everybody can play erratic shots and get away with it. So you need to know your basics right. So for the starters, I would never advise that going for shorting the market when you already know that market is in full upswing. So that being said, what are the other sectors? Well, media. How about media? So media, I'm again maintaining my bullish stand, and I say that be positive on media. It's got huge potential. Look for buying opportunity at every dip, and if this candle is to be believed, this candle, as I said, that this candle by itself does not mean anything, but it kind of is a doji candle that's been formed. So I will wait for a confirmation. Most probably, the way I'm expecting is that this candle is now going to make an upward move from here. So by tomorrow itself, you might see that metal might give you another 0.5 to 1% up move. So today's move, first and foremost, today's move, was it a sign of exhaustion? Was it a sign of weakness of any? I say no, it was no sign of weakness. It was a simple move of Nifty. That's how the market moves. You can't expect market to go unilaterally up in a straight line and come down unilaterally down in a straight line. It doesn't happen. So you're going to have those picks and throw in between. Your objective as a day trader, as an intraday trader, is only to collect small pieces of those up moves and down moves if you can. If you cannot, in fact, stay away from such choppy markets. I can assure you, it was one of the most difficult days where people would have made money. Anyway, so with that, are there any particular stocks that I would recommend? Well, I also did recommend three stocks today. One was Z Telefilms, which is again from media. So exactly with Z Telefilms, we waited for the confirmation and confirmation when it took the dip, and after it's a 5 minute chart in front of you, and once it 15 minute chart in front of you, once it took the dip from here, we waited for the confirmation. So in this particular candle, when this particular candle was crossed and this candle started forming, so we took a position. So that was around 200, I think 208. I entered Z Telefilms and advised my clients as well, and we booked a massive profit. In fact, we booked a profit of almost 5 rupees out here. So we captured almost, let's say, 100% of the gain on 60 to 70% of the gain on Z Telefilms. One of my other favorite stock was also LIC Housing. I could see some potential in a couple of companies in the financial sector, though they did not perform that well. So with LIC Housing, we entered in somewhere around 470, and we booked our profit at somewhere around 475. So that's again a 5 rupees gain. Third stock in our counter today was JSW, which also, of course, this was a very difficult stock to make. Initially, we let go of this entire move. We did not capture anything out here. Because I was not sure. I did not know. I always thought that, with the kind of candles it was forming, I thought that, one candle, two candle, three candle, it's going to come a reversal, because it was deviating. It was drifting away from the 20 period moving average. And while the stochastic indicators constantly started telling me that a reversal is on the card, but actually it belied all of those and it moved pretty further. But when it started consolidating out here somewhere, and we waited for the first bottom, and then when it made the first bottom out here, we waited for the confirmation. The second bottom was formed, and once the second bottom was formed, I waited for the next candle, and when they made the next candle, I took the position here and we captured the whole move again. So that was almost around 123 we entered, and we closed our position at 126.5. So that's again 3.5 rupees in Z Telefilms we captured. Now, couple of stocks from my end which I would like all of you to keep an eye on, and one is from the auto sector, another is from the telecom sector. So let's start with this stock called OnMobile. Now, this is a relatively unheard company, but I can assure you that this company holds a massive potential. I personally had invested in this company and bought the shares at somewhere around 75, and when it plummeted, I booked. I added in another 25% of my portfolio. I've already recovered 100% of my capital and more. But it's not going to stop here. I believe that on mobile, you can expect right now it's trading somewhere around 125, 126. If you are an investor for another, let's say, another quarter or another couple of quarters, I would suggest that look for an opportunity to cross the 200 barriers, because what it's doing out here is that it's trying to form the cup and handle pattern. So this is the cup portion. Now from the cup portion, if we have gotten the confirmation, it will get the top, the handle portion as well. So the handle portion will give you somewhere close to, as I've mentioned, the 200, 207 something else. So for roughly speaking, on the upside, it's another 70, 75 odd rupees potential up is there. On Mobile is a company that you should watch out for if your investment horizon is another couple of quarters. The next company in my list is Talbros Automotive. The Talbros Automotive, as the automotive sector has taken a beating, but then as I said that the month of April, the month of May were not that good for obvious reasons. But now since the economy is opening up, the sector is opening up, and the auto sales are obviously going to feel the heat, because they are going to, they will have to meet up with the pent up demands, and that is going to put an additional pressure on the automotive components, which will only augur good for them. So that's the kind of the signs are already there. This is a monthly chart with Talbros Automotive, and again, as I see right now, the stock is somewhere around 240. My belief is that in another quarter or so, you can expect it to 295 to 300 region. So this is the second stock that you should put in your radar if your investment horizon is for a couple of quarters. So these are the two stocks from my end. All right. So what has happened with the FIs and FPIs? Well, the FIs and FPIs today have, in total, there were about, I believe, 440, 450, crores of selling what has happened at the hands of FII, while the DII bought around 250. Now, so the net that the institutional players are at a little bit of a negative. Doesn't matter, doesn't quite matter. It's just one day we can't make a head or tail of it. Now let's see what the option chart tells us. So the option tells us that things the euphoria momentum which is there, that seems to have taken some sort of halt today because of the profit booking. But definitely this is not a sign of weakness. So coming to the option chain, you'll see that from 15,500 to 15,700 region, if we take, so this region tells us that 15,500, still there's a considerable amount of call unwinding which has happened, which is to the tune of 8,000 contracts, and against the total of 24,000 contract, 48,600 contracts are there. So 15,500, obviously 15,500 is obviously forming your bottom, your immediate support. And on the upside, I believe that it would be somewhere around seeing 15,600. Well, 15,600 we crossed today, but since after that we dwindled down, there has been considerable call writing out here. While the put writers have maintained their status quo, the call writers have suddenly become active at 15,600. Nevertheless, I believe that 15,600 tomorrow morning again we might cross, and the resistance, if any, is going to come at 15,700 somewhere. So this is what the Nifty's range is coming out to be, 15,500 to 15,700 as per the option chain. Let's see what the Bank Nifty has to tell us. Well, the Bank Nifty, similar story, but with Bank Nifty, the weakness is now showing up a little bit. Now, this would mean that the 35,500 barrier, crossing the 35,500 barrier is again going to be a tough task nonetheless. So my bet is that Bank Nifty would be somewhere around 35,200, because that's where the call unwinding would have happened. The last call unwinding has happened at 35,100. So 35,200 can serve as somewhat of a base, but I believe that 35,000 is actually the major support. So I will take 35,000 as the major support, and the resistance, if any, I would going to, I'm going to clip it somewhere around 35,500. That's the resistance. Not that this resistance cannot be breached, but that's where, it's the majority of the thing is going to be, even if it momentarily crosses 35,500, 35,600, it might be pulled back to 35,500 region. So all right, so going by the option chain, this is what it is looking like to me. So all in all, this should be your level. If you're finding Nifty anywhere between 15,530, I suggest that, with a small stop loss around 10, 15 points, maybe 20 points, you can go long and your upside potential will be upward of 100 points. Similarly with Bank Nifty, look out for the region of 35, 250, 35, 300 for an upside potential of only 400 points. I'm cautioning that Bank Nifty, I am not very bullish. In fact, I am a little bearish on Bank Nifty. But with Nifty, I'm holding a positive bias. The sectors to watch out for are going to be the metal and the energy. These are the two sectors that will be on my radar. So with that, let's round it up with what's happening with the US market. The US market has opened kind of a positive, but now it's trading flat. And as I speak to you, the Singapore SGX Nifty is hovering somewhere around 15,640. So both of them put together, plus Europe ended in green. Asia, except for, I think most of the stocks in Asia also, except for Japan, most of the Asian indices today ended in green. So these two put together, bolster kind of my confidence that tomorrow again we might see a gap up. If you see the gap up somewhere around 15,600, 15,620, 16,200, 15,625, I suggest that do not make any long position unless it has crossed 650 comfortably. Wait for the retracement. Once you get it back to 570, 575 in this area, in this region, definitely you can play with a small stop loss for 20 or 30 points. For the ultimate support, as I mentioned before, it is 15,530. So watch out for those levels. 15,530, 15,575 are these two support areas where with small stop losses of 10, 15 points, you can play for an upside potential of at least 25, 30 points and 100 points respectively. With Bank Nifty, well, I would not put my money in Bank Nifty for a couple of days now because Bank Nifty, frankly speaking, is not making much of a sense. Data is too much volatile, too much choppy, and it is not showing its true color. So neither I would advise anybody to go in long or go in short with Bank Nifty. Focus your energy on Nifty and look out for some quality stocks as well. Good night, everybody. Trade well. And a small disclaimer, I'm Abhishek Pearl. I'm the owner, founder of Analyst Master. This video was brought to you only for educational purposes. Should you choose to make your investment decision based on this video, I would strongly advise that do it with consultation of your, after having consulted your financial advisor. I'm not a SEBI registered one, and me or my channel, I'm not going to be responsible for your profit or loss alike. So with that, signing off. Have a good night and trade well tomorrow. Thank you very much.